So Luis sent me some files from Illusion, and I would like to start by showing you the files that we are working with today. And in order to do that, I'll log in. And as you remember, I think, is everyone in the meeting today saw the presentation when Matthias and I came to Mexico?
Yes.
Okay, so everyone has seen this once. What I'll start with is where we have our asset management. This screen that we are on now is the single sign-on screen, and this is the one where we can log into any of our applications as well as applications that you may have, that HTML logins. We could also put those on your carousel. So here I would like to show you that we have loaded the InDesign files for both the Illusion. Actually, Pepsi sends us, originally, they sent us Illustrator, but we worked them into InDesign, which I'm going to show you this also. And then all of the elements for putting together the jobs, we uploaded here into our system and put them in some organizational structure. And this organizational structure is completely open. You get to choose how you organize. Your customer will choose how they organize their assets. And basically, in this part of the system, it's a traditional digital asset management tool. So your customer could select any of these images if they wanted to load them down to their side and work on them in their office. Or, as I'm going to show you, we'll be able to work directly from this database into the files that we put together on our system without using our local machine. We will do everything via the internet. So just as a refresher, if the customer would like to get some of these assets for themselves, they can use what's called here a lightbox. And I'll show you the lightbox. I've made one. And I made a lightbox, and I put a few assets inside this that maybe a customer would want. And it's very easy to add additional items into the lightbox. We can just search by looking at images, and let's say, for example, we would like to add this to our lightbox. We can just click it, turns green, drag this image into our lightbox, and now when we go back and look into the lightbox, now this image is also here. You click down the export button. We have the ability to set up profiles. So company could get, if they always want low resolution for websites or if they would like high resolution for print, we can set up profile for the user so they get exactly the image they would want. When we export this files, we get the chance to decide, do we want to download these directly to our machine? Would we like to send them in an email link to a colleague? We can send an email to anyone. Or would we like to get a hyperlink that perhaps we would put on a website, for example? So any three of these methods, you can get images from the system. So basically, we took everything that Luis sent to me and Angel that you sent to me for Pepsi, and we loaded it into the system. So that's this part of the system. There are additional features for looking at details about images and things of that nature. Also, if you only need a single asset, you can do the downloading and emailing from the details screen. You can also see into the database any data that is relevant to this image. I don't have any database information for this image, but if we do, this is also visible for us here in this details screen. Okay. That's pretty much everything about the Digital Asset Manager. What I would like to do now is show you how we assembled the elements that you sent into our production system. And to do this, we will change views, and now we will go into the Asset Manager. This, you remember, we call the base module, and it is where we have our mind map. I did originally set up this user for the demonstration only as a worker, not as an administrator, but I thought maybe you would want to remember that everything on this side of the dock bar is for administration and setting up the system. Only users that have administrative privileges are able to work on the administrator aspects of the system. Other than this, a user such as a worker, like what we are going to do today, would only see the asset side. This is the objects organization side. This is the same folders that we looked at when we were in the previous module, the asset module. So you notice the folder structure is the same. I'm going to go here into an article that we created because in order to work in our system, it's very important to see that the images as well as all of the information about the image is stored in the database. For example, we have our article number, we have our description of the article, we have an additional description, sizes, materials, price, and all of this information is stored into the database. And as you recall, we have the ability to do things. And if I'm going into details that you're not interested in, everyone knows about, we can move quickly through this. So I'm going to move fairly quickly. If you want more details, you ask me and I'll give them to you. You recall about the, this is the history management. As changes happen to the articles and to the database information, we track this information, and you can go back to any point in history and click on it, and it will show you what changed. For example, you will see it will be in red. And let's find a version where we have a change. Okay, see, we have, it was changed in this area. It's got a star, and the type has been italicized. And then if we highlight this area and do a click and hold, it will show you our current value is this job number. And so this is the difference. We deleted the gray material, the gray number has been deleted, and this one was added for this particular version that was done on the 27th of January, 2015. Our current value is now set to this number. But at this point on this day, we changed the number to this for some reason. If we wanted to restore ourselves back to that, we could do it. Okay. Also, I think an area that I believe would be interesting to you is our translation capabilities of our system, because we used the translation in the preparation of these files. I'm going to show you this. So we start with the source language, which was Spanish, was sent to me. And then on the destination side, I created a layer for English. Okay, so now when we look at the database information, we see the Spanish on the left and we see the English together on the right. So you could have multiple languages. I only did Spanish and English, but you could have many languages here. And the database keeps track of all of the information and in fact provides this nice screen for you to do translations and compare one language to the other. Okay. I'm going to close the translation. And also, it's very easy if you want to see the translation layer, you can just use the pull down here as well. So we're looking now at the Spanish. If you would like to see the English, you can change it. And here in this one, oh, I'm still in my rollback window. So I did not have any changes in my English language that time. Here, let me get out of rollback. And when we look at the data itself, you can see then you can switch between Spanish and English just by clicking this button here. So if you need to switch between the languages, it's very simple to do in the database. Okay, so one more thing I'd like to show you. When you click here, you will notice that this item, this article, was made from another article. That's why it says it has a parent. This is really the whole purpose of the mind map, the simple user interface for the SQL, is giving you the ability to see how elements are used across your entire working environment. So we see we have a master article that the article I was looking at was created from. If you notice here, you see you have images that are associated with this particular article. if you click on the image box, it gives you a display of the image here in what we call the cover flow. So these images are available for low-res views. If you want to see high-res view, you can click it and it will bring it to you so you can see a little bit better. Then you can also see that from this master article, we have variants, okay? We have a variant product with the bra, and we have a variant product with the panties, okay? We click back on the panties, which is where we started, and we notice now we have some images that are uniquely associated only with the panties. These are the colors. You see these are the little color bars. And I'm going to open up this color bar so we can see how is this used in our environment, okay? Now we have our color here in the middle of the mind map. We notice that we have multiple articles that are using this color. So here, very easily, you can see all of these different products are using that color as associated with it. So this is one of the powerful things the mind map gives you the ability to do, is look and see very easily how items are used across your environment. And this is built as jobs are assembled. This database is being always updated and built with where images are used and how they're used. I just wanted to make sure you guys had the chance to understand this. Are there any questions about the database before I go into assembling some pages and showing you how the catalog was built from the database?
No.
Okay. Okay.
So this is very useful for catalogs, right?
Very much useful for catalogs, yes.
Not for Pepsi.
I don't know. I'm going to show you Pepsi. I think you might like it. I'm going to show you Pepsi. We have something special for Pepsi as well. What I'm showing you here is pretty much a catalog, but we did use the mind map for Pepsi. I'll show you this at the end. Okay, so now I'm going to move into the catalog production, and we will change gears from the database, and we will now go into the layout module. Okay, if you remember, the layout module is the place where we open up Adobe InDesign documents and work with Adobe InDesign documents. The graphics processing server underneath our system is Adobe InDesign server. So as a component of our system, we have at the base level Adobe InDesign. So we can open up natively Adobe InDesign jobs. And this is really how the very powerful part of the system is that the people in the product management part of a company, like Illusion, the people who buy the clothes, the people who are the product managers, they are not designers, but they very much have to interface with the people who are creating the catalog or creating the website or creating the mobile application. They need to be very intimate. And this tool here is the tool to help them do that effectively. Okay, so now if you notice on the left side again, we have the exact database. This is the same database that we've been working with all along. And I am going to be able to navigate into my projects that I have for Illusion. And you can see here I made 3 projects for you. I'm going to open up this one by dragging it here to the center. And so now we're opening this Adobe InDesign. These are the files and pages that Luis sent to me. And what we did is we brought them in, loaded them into the asset management part of the system. We took them into the database, and we built together which pictures went with which text, went with which pages. And now what I'm going to show you is how all of this comes together into a production where the graphics person works coordinated with the product manager. Because most product managers do not know InDesign. So they have to tell the graphics person all their information, and then the graphics person has to enter it into InDesign. But now, using our system, we are having the people in design only design parts of the job. I have opened up here a spread that shows you what this means. Here on this page, all we have are master page elements, okay? Things that are common on every page, like the little sidebar. We have the Illusion logo. We have page number. These are the items that are on the master page. So a master page template is one thing that the system needs. The second thing that the system will use is what we call a grid. The grid shows the placement of the elements on the page. And obviously not every page is going to be placed exactly the same, because here we have full page for an article. Notice here on this side we have a article going on half the page vertically, and then here in the catalog we had 2 articles going in 1/4 page. So we created master pages and grid templates to cover how layout was done throughout the book. So, and on this particular spread, we have put the appropriate grid. We have also gotten, this is really where the database link happens. This is called the single asset. This is where the styles and positioning and what database elements need to be associated with which images. This is where this is happening. This is the variable data part. Like if you're doing any variable data work right now, this would be very similar. Creating the single asset is very similar to the database work that you do in variable data printing. So those are the 3 types of templates that we have to have from InDesign in order to build a page here in our system. But once we have these elements, which I'm going to turn off the single asset, once we have these elements, we can now, with someone who basically has no experience in Adobe InDesign, they can very much work with their pages. So for example, on this 2-page spread, we are highlighting 2 products. Product number 7219 is one of the products. I can do a search and the search bar here, and it will find all of the articles that are for this article number. Or if I do not want to do it this way, I could also just navigate through the database here, and I could look visually, and then it shows me the images, and then I could pick the image and drag it onto the database. For me, I know what I'm looking for. I know the number. I think it's much easier for me in this case to just say, okay, I want this particular article. I know that this article is going to be featured here, and then there is going to be additional information about this article on this inset box. So I drag the article into both locations. Okay, I know that on this page I'm going to be displaying article number 3770. So now I search for this article. I find this article. I am dragging this article to here, and then this inset box here is the feature about this article. Okay, so now I am going to turn off my grid, placement grid, and you see the database has got the appropriate image that should be used when we're using a quarter size feature. It has got the appropriate text. It's got the colors, all from the database through using the single asset. Here on this page, it picked up a different picture because it knows for the full page feature, we're using a different image. We're not using these smaller details. We're using pictures with backgrounds and so forth. So all of this was defined in our database prior. And so all the right images are being selected when you place the article into the grid. From this point of view, really it's from the product manager's work. He has assigned all the elements that go to the page. Now, what he could say is he could go to his status area and say, okay, I can move it from the working status to now this is ready to have the design finalized. So now what would go to the designer would be a document that has all the right elements in place, that just needs to have the final tweaks done in design to make it look very nice. Keep in mind, we do have some simple tools here in the toolbar that give us the ability to manipulate some of this data ourselves. I'll give you an example. Let me zoom up here. Okay, let's say we wanted to do some text editing. We are in the live database here. So when I click on this box and I select this price and I say, let's make this price 79. I'm going to make this price change to 79. Notice I get this little green checkbox here. When I say, okay, I click this checkbox, it asks me, do you want to save these values to the master data? This is going to save this information into the database. Okay, the power of this is that this same database is used to drive content to, let's say, the website of Illusion. This same database is used to drive content to their application that they have on iPad. So by making a change here in the database centrally, immediately all of this other content is updated without anyone else having to do any additional work. That's very powerful. If we only want to make the change here for the print catalog, of course, we would say, no, do not save that to the master database. So the database will not be changed. Only the content of what we have here on our document will change. Again, let me show you a couple of other things that are capable of being done here in our system. You could, like say for example, you wanted to, we know this image needs to be bigger. Instead of letting the designer do it, there's simple tools here where I could do it. I could zoom up and say, well, this image is actually going to fit in this box something like this. Okay, and then I could say, okay. And so now, you know, I've used basic little toolbar. I don't know InDesign myself, and I'm able to do some small edits. I can, you know, like let's say for an example, I wanted to resize this image here and get it into the right place. I just click on it, get my sizing tool, move it into the spot I'm thinking, and if I want to make this smaller, I can make it smaller. Whatever needs to be done. If I wanted to turn, I can do these things. So you can do some simple editing here, but obviously most of the design community is going to be more comfortable working in InDesign, but the people who they're interfacing with, the product managers who are the corporate level people, they are probably not comfortable doing those things in InDesign, but they need very much to get their information quickly to, they need to collaborate. So this tool is really a collaboration tool for those two types of people, and it's all done online. Okay? Some other ways that that we can collaborate together would be, I'm just going to leave that, but we have the ability to put notes on. So we could put notes on and type notes to each other. Please retouch this image. Save. Okay. We also have the ability to do a preview of these pages before we commit to, before we do that, let me show you. I mentioned to you before the English and the translation. Let me show you this. This feature here, translate. We come over here to translate. We know that our basic language here is Spanish, but let's say that in this case, I want to work in InDesign on my Spanish and my English here at the same time. I can go, I can click English layer, I can say translate. So now it's going into the database and it's getting all of my English and it's bringing it in. What it's done is it has created a layer. Now see, we have our Spanish information here, and now it added this whole layer here for English. So any information, if there are special images for English, they would bring the special English images in. If there are special texts for English, they bring this in. Let me show you one thing that I know is different. For example, the price. Before we were with the peso, and now here on the English layer, we are with the English dollar. So the same database is driving both, but we have different content because of the language layer. That's a very nice tool. Okay. Now, let's allow me to show you this feature. It's called our catalog viewer. It's another module of our system that gives you the ability to take data that you are working on in the system, and now you have basically a little book that you can flip through. And these are the pages that I was working on. You notice that I put a note in there that says, please retouch. Let's see, what did I say? Please retouch image. I directed it to a particular person, Jay Kaba, so they will get notification about this change that needs to be made through the system. We can flip through the entire book and see what we have here visually, and we can also collaborate. over this with their colleagues. We have a full comment list here where we can add comments. Not only do we have to add, can we add them in the layout module, we can also add them here. You know, should be read. Okay. And if you wanted to direct the comment to a particular person, you pull down and you have all of the people in your company are here that you can communicate directly with. If this is just a general comment that needs to be addressed across the board, you do not select the user. Okay. Also, we have the ability to view this in different ways. You can get this sidebar so you can see your pages in more, you know, thumbnail view like this if you would like. Okay. Can save that. Well, it's really no need to save. I didn't really do anything. Okay, so I'm going to close it. Any questions about the features of the layout module?
I'm not an expert in that, Angel. Is that useful?
It's useful because usually you have nowhere but the PC of the designer to change this information. So usually just one person has this information in his computer. So what is useful is that many people can collaborate to build this without error-free. I see that it's a very easy to use interface.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah. Because usually you have a designer that if he makes a mistake, no one will notice it.
Mm-hmm. Yes, this is like the new, it's kind of a new kind of proofing. It's high-end proofing. It lets you work and collaborate together. And, but it also, this would extend all the way to your customer. So your customer would interface very much with this. I think that they would use this very much, especially the girls or men who do the product management for this company, because they would be the ones working with the database.
Yeah, because as all the things from here come from a database, it's automatically uploaded, everything.
Yes.
So this is very powerful for designers.
And this is the feature that you are adding for the design community. You are now offering to them the ability to manage not only images as digital asset management, but you can completely offer them a database to manage all of their communications across all of their media output areas into websites, mobile apps, all from the same data. And this will be offering them efficiencies. I am very curious about this with Illusion in particular, because I saw quite a bit of ways they use their information. For example, this is their website. They have the same catalog right here and same products, you know. They have their same products. But what I notice when I look at this is that the products' images are different. They're not the same as the catalog. And the descriptions are not here. And the part numbers are, the price is, but I believe that they would be interested. All of this information could be totally integrated into this single database. And when they make a change to the price, it would immediately show for the printed part as well as it would show here on the website without them having to do any additional work.
Right, because usually it will be like different things doing this. So that's a very powerful feature.
Oh, it's very neat. It's a very nice tool. I'd like to also show you something else that I think is very nice in InDesign itself, because most of the design community is going to be working in the InDesign. Okay, so I'm going to close the element in this project here. I'm going to close it, and I am going to go here now to my Adobe InDesign. You notice we have a plugin. Here, let me show you the plugin. It's just like any normal plugin for the Adobe products. We have it here, the print plugin. And now I open the plugin. The first thing it says is it's negotiating with the database online. And now it says, who are you? And I tell it who I am. And it knows my username and password. Okay. And now I log in. You'll notice now I am working as a designer in Adobe InDesign. But what I have is I have my exact same information. This is the same database that we have been working with in our digital asset management tool. We have been working with it in our single sign-on carousel. We worked with it also in our layout module, as well as our catalog viewer. Everything from the same central database. Now I go here, I see my exact projects. These are the projects. This showcase is the one I was just working on. I open it. It shows me a listing of all the pages. Let's say I am the lady, who got the email saying that I had changes I needed to do on page 4 and 5. I go right here to page 4 and 5. I double click, and it opens from the central database. It opens here onto my local machine. This is saying the images are not linked, which is okay for what I'm going to do. I'm going to minimize here my my print module, and you'll notice here that you have this layer list that comes in. Okay, I can turn on and off the layers. Like you see, we have a status layer. Maybe you don't want to see the status layer, so you can just turn it off. And let's say, for example, I'm not an expert in InDesign either, so I don't know exactly the things to do. But, let's say I want to see my comment that was made. I received an email from the system saying I needed to make an image correction on page 4. I turn on my communication layer, and it says, please retouch the image. And this is the image that's being talked about, because this is the sticky note that I stuck on in the database. Another cool thing is, now I want to see where my English information is going to be. So I can turn on my English layer. Come on. And view. Oh, did I not? I don't appear to have saved my English text. If I had saved my English text, it would show up here. I'm not seeing it for some reason. I think I did something wrong. But it did bring over the English layer, but it doesn't have the English text. I'm not an expert here in InDesign, so I have obviously done something wrong. But this is full InDesign, fully interfacing with our database through this print plugin. And it's a very powerful feature. So now everyone works from one central source of data. Or not, they have the ability to work from one central source of data. Okay. I'm going to close my InDesign. I'm not going to save the changes. If you save the changes, it's going to update what's in the database. It's going to fix what's in the database. So the next time you work on the job in the database, it will be updated. You can even update the contents of the database, like price. You can update this from InDesign, and the information we enter in InDesign will fix the database and update it as well. Okay, so that is pretty much the what we did to create the catalog for illusion in our system. Are there any questions about this?
Why would the customer rent this application from Foley and not buy it by himself?
Well, a lot of times people are already having their suppliers and their partners, for example, manage their content and their images, and they already have. Are you doing this for any of your customers now with the media asset management?
No.
Yes. I see it happening now, starting to happen. A lot of people are, instead of a company having to go out and buy all of the software and hardware in order to do this, that a tool like this, where it does it in the cloud and is sold as a usage model, a SaaS model, instead of buying computers, buying software, and building it all yourself, this is a cloud-based solution that someone like Foley could offer to their customers. The customers pay as they use it for the data they store there and the user logins and the different modules that they might want to use. They would pay for it as they use it, and when they're not using it, they're no longer paying for it. So I think it's just more of a cloud model. It's kind of, things are kind of moving this way.
What I can see is that some of the companies, they have a third partner which is handling all this on behalf of them.
So these are the, let's say, a design department which is working for the let's say the Hersteller, for the yeah, for the company, let's say. I mean, yes, there are some companies that are big enough that they have their own design and they have their own people which are working on all this and delivering this to the printer. But I think I can see in most of the cases they have a third company which are dealing on that. And the question here is, if you as a printer talk to them and say, okay, we can do it as a fulfillment like Romo do. Romo, they do everything for Andrea. I mean, it's a big advantage. I was always talking to Romo and asking them, are you not afraid that one day Andrea will take the job away from you? And they say they believe that they have a very strong position because they will not find so easily a company which can make this fulfillment for them totally. So the question is here: are you going to stay? Are you going to stay to be a printer, or are you also thinking to enter more into the creative part?
And what about the confidentiality and that issues that a customer is gonna say that we're gonna be accessing this information, because obviously it's gonna be printing stuff with other guys.
Yes.
And using our system, right?
Correct. Yes. Certainly would be able to do that. I mean, that issue would be there. If they provide this, it's all based on security login. So if you have administration logins to support their system, you would have access to certain parts of their database. And this is all you can turn it on and off. Like, say, this user only accesses information here, this user only accesses information there, but all of the data is in one central location. So if you have the proper logins, you can get to all the data. Like, I turned off this for some users, like the worker users. They do not have access to do any changes or even see this price information or whatever in the database. You can turn all of this off. But you're right. I mean, whoever is the owner of this data, they have the full suite of information. I guess that's why they say he who has the data has the power.
And how much could I charge for this?
Yeah.
I mean, is it based on how much input they put into, and how much gigabytes, or how many transactions, or would it be a
licenses,
a fee, a monthly fee, or something like that?
I think you have said. I heard also Angel say licenses. These are all three ways that people sell these services. You could buy a license to the software and run a server in the cloud or on your premises and own the system, and then have to keep it maintained yourself. This would be one way with the license model. You could also have a subscription, as you say, to your customer. We have a model that is a subscription based on user accounts. If you have 5 users that are going to be using this, we can charge, $1,000 a month, and then X amount, pennies per gigabyte of storage. And this also would be a model. The model that we are moving to at Heidelberg is the SaaS model, where the customer would pay based on exactly what they use, the data they have stored in the store, and how much ingress coming into the data and going out of the data that they're doing, and which modules they use. They would pay for each of these. They would pay for these only as they use them. When they're not using data, when they do not have data on there, they do not pay. But they would keep their data there. I cannot see a reason for someone to put their data there and then move it next month. I mean, they're going to this would replace computers at their facility. They would be, I heard people calling it a data utility. It's kind of like the electricity, that you pay for what you use. And data usage is going more and more in this direction, where people store their information in data warehouses and pay as they use. They do not do the IT themselves all the time. They do not own the servers. They're using Amazon, AWS, or Microsoft Azure. We have this system that you're looking at right here is on the Google Cloud platform. And, you know, we are renting the machine. As we use the machine, we pay for it. This is how we're doing it.
Well, I think it's interesting for these guys.
It's a new model.
El tema es son tan grandes ellos que a lo mejor ellos no ven los nombres de la aplicación y ellos dar el acceso a la gente, a los impresores.
Would you be interested now to see the Pepsi?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, what I'd like to show you now is I'm going to go back into the database itself, and I'm going to show you what we did with Pepsi. With Pepsi, we totally, oh, great.
That's chingos.
With Pepsi, we built a totally automated workflow. Okay, let's start by going into the articles that we created for Pepsi. And if you remember, I sent you emails. I wanted to get more of these because I got one piece, and this is it. I wanted to be able to, we built the framework of this workflow, and now if we had 1,000 pieces that we needed to make, we could do it all completely automated. We broke apart the content that you sent us. These are the images, okay? And then what we did is we built another project, kind of similar to what we did with Illusion, but we did this one in a totally automated way. The Capote, I'm going to open it. And what we did is we built what we call a Dropbox, okay? And the Dropbox, if you notice, has the same elements as the beginning point as we had for a page in Illusion. We have a master page InDesign document that we created. This is their size, and this is any common elements that are on our page. We have the page grid. This is placement of the elements on the page. And then we have the single asset that controls the colors, the styles, the image relationship with which text, the database relationship. This is all controlled through here. Okay, so now that we have built, we have placed into the Dropbox these items. These are necessary items for the Dropbox. This is the starting point, the master page, the grid, and the single asset. Now we add to the Dropbox every article that we would like to process through this workflow. And let's say, for an example, I only have one example to show you. I would drag this item, this article, for the tick-ticks into the Dropbox, and you'll see immediately what happens is I can create pages from the Dropbox. Okay. Immediately, this starts processing here on the Adobe InDesign server. So now, if I only have one article that I was able to place in, because this is the only one I have, but let's say that you have 50 articles that you're working on, you could produce and put all 50 in at the same time, and now the system has processed it and created pages for you. It's created these InDesign pages that are now ready to be opened in InDesign and dropped right into a workflow. What I also like to do is go see, so we take the same, we have the same Sontrix tick-ticks in here. If we go one more step further, instead of just creating a InDesign with all of the elements like you see here, we can also do this. We can create PDF. So this could be integrated directly into your workflow, where you would not even have to come to the database and download it. So now, again, the Adobe InDesign server started rendering, And what we're going to have is we're going to have the PDF itself is now here for us. And then so the elements, the raw elements were taken in, the database information about what the text was, what size, all that was applied. And now we have, in an automated drag and drop way, taken our database elements and created this output. And it can be done, I mean, just very, very fast, totally automated. And if you had 100 of them, or if you had 1,000 of these, I'm not sure how many you're making, but we this workflow would totally automate the production of this product. We were able to figure it out. You started out by giving us Illustrator. We had to do a little work because we have an Adobe InDesign server behind us, but you know, they're both by Adobe, so it really actually wasn't very hard for us to separate the elements the way we wanted to, and we created the InDesign templates and totally automated this workflow. This one would be very, very, very easy. I'm not sure what all that you guys have to do now or what Pepsi has to do to create this, but this can be very much a database-driven workflow.
I believe that the interesting part for Pepsi could be that if they have a campaign for something or a launch of a new product, if they want to print and they want to send to update, for example, a web page, or they want to update a campaign for a commercial on the TV or something like that, all the information is centered in one database.
Mm-hmm.
Where nowadays they have all these designers, users, and marketing people working around in circles to get this accomplished. So the part of having all the information in one database and automate their workflow, I do believe that this is the interesting part for Pepsi in this type of, with these solutions.
For Pepsi, it would look like more like a file manager.
Yeah.
Yes. This is what Angel's saying. You would have all of this here for each particular product. It would be all in the database. They would log in. They would fix or add, and then all this information would, as he said, drive the website. This information would drive to the printed cards like you were showing. This could go to any output, all from this database.
I don't know, maybe it's head or, I don't know, volume companies in other places. And they will tell them, okay, we have uploaded the base design for, I don't know, for the, ¿cómo le dicen a los Dropbox?
For a drop and go, for example.
For the drop and goes, go ahead and take it from the database and print it from there.
Yeah. So they protect their CI. Nobody else can misunderstand the CI. So they are controlling it from one database, and everybody has access to the database, and this obliges to use the same data and the same pictures.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Don't send it anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they don't have to have people working on each site. They can just manage it from there. Say,
Remotely, yeah.
Go ahead, download it, and print it.
Yeah, I believe that the administration and the automation that they can make is the interesting part for them. Because
And Norman, if you had this, then you are the guy that they love.
Los externos tienen que ser unos 30 porque a veces cada departamento tiene los suyos.
¿Quién sabe cuántas agencias manejan?
This is an interesting part because Jaime that works with Pepsi just told us that Pepsi works with like 30 suppliers for design. And working with 30 suppliers, you don't know who's controlling really the information. So Pepsi, I do believe that Pepsi is not really sure where all this information is. So having a single database for them to control what their 30 design suppliers are doing,
And how they are managing
and how they are managing the information, and knowing that now they are the owners of the images and information because they have it in their server. This is the interesting part of Pepsi.
the easier step that maybe is that the use of the brand. Maybe in Monterrey, they're using the logo on this side, right? and the corporate images is sex.
Es lo que usted me ofreció cuando platicamos. O sea, estandarizar la administración.
Well, I think the next step would be to set an appointment with these guys and make a presentation and see
Okay.
if they're interested.
You know, and we see this as something that the printer, you know, the important thing about the printer, I think, that Heidelberg's perspective is that we know you guys are with the relationships with the Pepsi, with the Illusion. You have very long-term relationships with them around the original media channel print. They are now communicating their information out through other media channels like internet, websites, mobile apps, telephones, things of this nature, emails. But they are doing it in very much with a struggle. They are doing they got people that are, one group of people work on website, one group of people work on the email campaigns, and the different people work on the print. And this data system gives you the ability to bring these elements together and manage it better. And this is what Heidelberg sees as the next chance for us also to build systems. Obviously, we're building less printing presses, but if we apply these types of systems to help people communicate in ways that are the new media, this will be the value that Heidelberg can bring. And we want to take advantage of our partnerships that we have with people and our friends at Foley. You have with your relationship with your customers. We want to bring solutions to you. That's what we see this media manager as being about. It's really cloud computing.
Okay.
We would very much like to do that, Norman. In fact, I already have some dates in mind if you would like to talk about them.
Oh yeah, tell me when.
Okay. Because you know
you
we
mean
have
dates.
well, yeah, dates. Yes, in May.
You wanna come?
Yes,
Okay.
I think it would be better, don't you?
Maybe we could do it the same way we did it today.
Is that okay for you?
Sería la mejor manera.
What we were thinking about is Chris Birdie. Do you know Chris, Norman?
Yeah, Luis says it would be better this way because now you can see the working remotely on the site.
Okay.
Prove that it works remotely to the
Okay.
customer.
Yeah.
That it's just not only working locally on one computer.
Okay.
You can set up a market in the conference room and have someone else from here and give it up from their side, work on some pages and do a practical example.
Yes.
So you're still thinking of Pepsi, or you're still also having some other customers in your mind?
It could be many customers.
Yeah.
Todo lo editorial.
It would be good for the brewers, Modelo and
Yeah.
I mean Heineken and what? Modelo.
Modelo, Grupo Modelo.
Anheuser Busch, because what they do, these breweries, we have two big beer manufacturers in Mexico, and
Yes.
they do their printing. Many sites print themselves.
Oh.
They have about 60 locations in the country, and everybody prints stuff how they like it and not standardized way.
Right.
So this could be a way where all the users get together and are all on the same page.
Mm-hmm.
No. Well, let's start with these two guys.
The one thing.
I'll let you know when this can happen.
Okay. I would like to say one thing. The only reason I suggest that maybe we come to you is because, you know, I don't know, do you know Christopher Birdie? He is head of our software, and he is responsible for this product line as well, and he is going to be in the U.S. with me in May 11th through, and probably the week of the 11th, and maybe even into the week of the 18th. So we were going to be in California on the 15th of May. So I was thinking if you wanted, we could perhaps come to you like maybe 13 and 14 of May, if you wanted to show some people.
¿Qué dices?
Yo, las clientes la vez pasada, la verdad es que estuvimos con ellas, estuvo Ángel y estuvimos explicándoles, dijeron que en el momento que lo tuviéramos, les avisáramos, ellas hacen la parte de las diseñadoras, y que van a decir a quién tenemos que convocar a los de compras, el director para que ellas le vendan esto, ellas no tienen. De lo poco que vieron, ellas dijeron, sí, no, estoy interesado. Y lo que se les platicó y se les comentó es que es algo, ya sea un tema de renta, de compra, pero que ellas lo pueden comprar directamente.
No, pero yo no soy vendedor de eso.
Pero, o sea, el punto sería que lo compraran y que la solución al fin y al cabo se la dio fuera. Y el hecho de que podamos salir con otros clientes y decir que esa solución es implementada con alguien, también ayuda que lo podamos vender con otros clientes. Digo, a lo mejor no nos vamos a hacer ricos vendiendo software, no es lo que vendemos, pero es parte de lo que queremos dar a los clientes.
Sí, pero ¿para qué lo van a querer comprar? O sea, Poly te ofrece este servicio cuando trabajas con Poly, con una renta X. Yo no me iría el chiste de esto es que haya un vínculo más estrecho con Poly.
Sí.
Y no que ahora yo venda software.
Sí, el proyecto lo implementamos nosotros con ellos.
Sí.
O sea, no solo de que vendes software y se vaya, o sea, como tengan problemas con el software, pues seamos el vínculo con ellos.
Aquí lo que te da,
cómo configurarlo.
yo como lo veo, a Foley lo que le va a ganar es el tercera. Queremos ver y que tú estés con ellos y que David o alguien que conozca esto, por decir la vida ahorita, les esté soltando las soluciones. Foley te lo vendió, Foley te lo está ayudando a implementar, Foley es tu soporte en IT para eso. Nosotros llevamos todo, tú le puedes dar el acceso a cualquiera de tus impresores, obviamente nosotros llevamos mano con tus impresores para haberte ayudado a desarrollar esta herramienta.
Yo ni mencionaría el tema de vender.
Bueno.
No, ya trancas. Okay, we're gonna let you know.
Okay. Let me show you one more thing, Norman, before I go. I found this also. Illusion. This app here.
Órale, sale, gracias.
You see this one? Same data. Same data. So this also, we could save them a lot of work on this one too. See where we go, these catalogs are produced and put online. Can you see?
Yeah.
The same one that we are working on here. Same elements. Pajamas, same. These look like they have some of the same images too, in fact. Like that one. That image is exactly the same as we used in the printed. So, they are they need central data management. I bet they are not doing it now. I bet they are doing it each one for each different project. It's probably cost them a lot of money. So I think you can help them.
Okay.
So,
well, thank you, Rob.
You're welcome, Norman. Thank you so much, and it's good to be with you again.
Okay.
And
we'll
thank
let you know then when.
Please.
I think maybe we could do it next week.
Okay.
With this Illusion guys.
Okay, let me know. We are here for you.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Andre. Thank you, Angel. And
thank you. Well,
Luis.
have a nice weekend.
Everyone, thank you so much. Okay, you too.
Okay, take care.
Okay, bye-bye. Bye.